30 years of the best sports talk in Middle Tennessee, featuring Tennessee Radio Hall of Famer George Plaster, Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame coach Watson Brown, and Young Guns Billy Derrick. And now, here's your host, George Plaster.
Hello again, everybody. Welcome in. It is a beautiful Monday in Nashville, Tennessee. Temperatures quite a bit warmer than normal for late October. We're going to get up toward 80 degrees before the week is over, and for me, that is just fine. I love it that way. Anyway, we got a lot to get into today on what is a Reaction Monday, and clearly there is a lot to react to. But given the fact that it's football season, let's get to Terry McCormick's Daily Titans Update. That traditionally starts the show. It's brought to you by Lori Burnett Leland. She wants to be your mortgage lady, and through the folks at USA Mortgage, that absolutely can happen. And by the way, Lori has let me know that if you would like to meet with her, she will be at the Nashville Flea Market this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday near the front of Expo 1. So if you have any mortgage or home buying questions, bring those to her. Terry McCormick, Main Street Media, joining us on the show. Terry, Mike Vrabel, who, by the way, let's congratulate Mike on the induction into the New England Patriots Hall of Fame. That is a very, very well-deserved honor. He comes back to town. He'll hold a press conference tomorrow. Do you think he will tell us what we're dying to know?
Absolutely not, George. He's going to keep the mirage of Ryan Tannehill playing going for as long as he possibly can.
Yeah, but that one's really not in the cards, is it?
I don't think so. I'd be very surprised if Ryan Tannehill suits up on Sunday. I'm not completely ruling it out, but I'd be very, very surprised if Ryan Tannehill gives it a go. I'm starting to think that they may open the box and see what they have in Will Levis.
Yeah. So also, while we're at it, give me the trade deadline stuff. When is it? What do you think goes on there?
Well, the trade deadline this year is on Halloween of all days. And so I guess you get to find out if you get a trick or a treat whenever you make a trade. A lot of people have been, speculating and rumoring that maybe it's time for them to trade Derrick Henry. I just don't think you get the return on investment that you need for one of the best running backs in the league. There was a report, I think it was from Diana Rossini, who seems to have her pulse on some things, on the pulse of some things related to the Titans. And she said that they had fielded calls, people interested in Kevin Byard and Treylon Burks. I can see where Kevin Byard would have some value to a contending team because he certainly is a veteran presence over his career here. He's been a serious ball hawk, a very smart player. I can't imagine anybody really wanting to offer up much for Treylon Burks because, other than a flash here or there, hasn't really done much. But he's still on a rookie contract and he was a first-round pick, so I don't think he's going anywhere. One, because you wouldn't get a very good return on investment. And two, I think, they're still holding out hope that he can stay healthy and get it together and give them a little bit of what they need at the receiver position, George.
Yeah. So they get the Falcons on Sunday, noon kickoff at Nissan Stadium. Terry, you may have a note or two you want to pass on. If you do, have at it. If not, I'll ask something else.
Well, I'll go, one area in that game against the Falcons beyond obviously the quarterback situation. But one thing, it's going to be interesting to see Arthur Smith come back here. He grew up in the Titans organization, basically was here for a decade or more before moving on to become the Falcons head coach. And there are several players with Titans ties and ties to Arthur Smith that are down there, most notably Jonnu Smith. So it's going to be interesting to see how Titans South does when they come back up to play the Titans on Sunday. It's always interesting, I think, when you prepare for somebody who knows you just as well as you know them. That's going to be interesting.
So let's make one up here. Is the most likely landing spot for Ryan Tannehill a year from now Hotlanta, GA?
It's possible. I mean, obviously his contract is up at the end of this season, but George, I'm starting to wonder, and I have absolutely nothing to base this on, but Ryan Tannehill may be at the point where, who knows how much longer he wants to give it a go. He's 35, he'll be 36 next year, obviously. Other than Atlanta, I wouldn't think there would be very many ready-made starting spots there for him to go to where he could jump right into a familiar situation with Arthur Smith, unless he were to come back here. So you start to wonder too, how much longer does he want to do it? Does he want to only do it as a starter? And how healthy is he, and how much longer does he want to continue to go?
Yeah, these are questions right now we can't really answer, but in the coming weeks, probably going to get a little clearer for us. Terry, as always, appreciate it. We'll talk again next, same time, same place, tomorrow.
All right, sounds good, George.
Terry McCormick's Daily Titans Update, brought to you by Lori Burnett Leland. She wants to be your mortgage lady, and as I mentioned earlier, Lori has a busy weekend coming up. She will be at the Nashville Flea Market Friday, Saturday, and Sunday near the front of Expo 1. So if any of you have mortgage or home buying questions, feel free to check in with her. She'd love to talk to you. Let's say hello to Kelly Holcomb, who joins us from Murfreesboro. Kelly, how are you?
I'm good, George. How you doing?
Doing good. So Troy didn't play this week?
No, they were off this past week. My son came home, which was that was good to see him. That's the first time he's been home since August, and then he went back yesterday, and he got caught in a traffic jam, which they shut the interstate down for like an hour and a half, which is it's always happening on Interstate 65. If you go down there, man, they've always got a wreck on it. It's crazy.
Yeah. It's Chattanooga South.
Ooh, Chattanooga South. That's That's good. You're right.
So, Billy, I would assume you had a good weekend.
I did.
Mm-hmm.
It was a good weekend.
Okay.
Got some car troubles figured out, so we're good.
Well, that's critical.
Yep.
I would assume you also have an update.
I do have an update. And, George, we've got I don't know if anybody has seen them, but the Titans are going to be wearing their throwbacks on Sunday against the Falcons. And this is a good look at them right here, the Oiler throwbacks. And I'll say this, George, I think these are one of the best, if not the best. We saw the Kelly Greens last night. And I think the Seahawks are going to be wearing their throwbacks this week as well. So they're starting to bring out a lot more throwbacks.
Well, the Philly one last night I thought had great color to it. It makes a lot of sense. This one, I don't really know what the family feel is about it, the Adams family.
Mm-hmm.
This is so much better a look than that crap they're wearing now.
Oh, it's not even close.
It isn't even close. I guess I'm hoping that there's enough of a groundswell of, okay, now that you've shown it to us, let's go back to it.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, you saw Kelly Green.
I like it. Yeah, I like it, man. It's so much better than what they got now. You're right, George. I don't like to agree with you a lot, but you're right on this one.
The other team that's done that is the Chargers.
Yeah.
They have basically gone baby blue.
Mm-hmm.
I don't get the yellow pants with the baby blue. I would go white, but that's just, one person's.
The Titans uniforms right now are just too dark. There's nothing really pops about them. So I think if they should stick with this blue color and just build around it and maybe keep more red instead of that navy blue they got. But yeah, they'll be wearing those Sunday. Falcons are 1-point favorites, which not totally surprised, but we'll see what happens on Sunday. Also tonight, 49ers and the Vikings. The Niners are 7-point favorites. Christian McCaffrey will play tonight, sources told Adam Schefter, so it must be true. He's listed as questionable right now after suffering an oblique injury during last week's loss to the Browns. So, meanwhile, the Vikings are in some disarray.
They are in dumpster fire territory. There is a lot of talk. I don't believe any of it. Of teams looking to get Kirk Cousins. I don't think it's going to happen, Kelly. If you really pay a lot of attention to NFL trade stuff, it's not like baseball. There's not that much movement.
No, and I don't think they're going to do that either. Who are the teams that are talking about trying to go after him? Do we know?
Well, you've heard JETS as one of them. Who did I hear? I heard a new one today.
Falcons, maybe? I know they're not happy with Ritter.
No, Desmond Ritter. I mean, he is what he is.
Yeah. And speaking of he is what he is, I think Malik Willis is who he is right now. I'm sure we'll get into that with Watson about potentially maybe Will Levis starting on Sunday.
Potentially, yes.
Potentially. MLB Playoffs, we got a Game 7 tonight.
Oh,
Rangers at the Astros in Houston. Adolis Garcia basically said, we're going to a Game 7. Well, I'm putting you on my back.
2-2 pitch, gone.
Wow. And Max Scherzer's on the mound tonight for the Rangers.
And that's a double-edged deal because he is a bulldog and he will battle with everything he's got. I just don't know, based off the one start he has made in this series, whether he's got it in him.
Yeah, he did not look great.
He didn't
in his last one.
What's the deal with all these home team? Like, they can't win at home. I don't understand.
I don't know. All of a sudden, in the divisional round, it was the home teams. The Braves got a win at home, and the Phillies won basically all their games in Philly. But now you're seeing some road teams, starting to get wins. Is it because do they go 2-3-2?
They go 2-3-2, and in all honesty, I haven't felt like Houston's crowd has had the ferocity of Philly. Look, nobody is Philly.
No,
Philly is a loony bin.
It's ridiculous.
And that's helped that team.
Yeah. I think the D-backs crowd, too, has kind of slowly gotten behind their team. But there's more Philly fans. Like, there were a lot of Philly fans that just made the flight over to Arizona because they were cheaper to fly all the way out there, at least for that first game in Arizona.
Crazy.
Than to see one at Citizens Bank. But they will be in Philly today, 4:07 on TBS. Aaron Nola is on the mound for the Phillies. He's been their shutdown guy.
I have certainly targeted Aaron Nola. He would look good in a tomahawk.
That'd be a good.
And it makes a lot of sense. He's a free agent at the end of the year. You weaken the Phillies while you make your team better. Doubleheader victory. Thank you.
Is this just a pipe dream, or do we think this is?
It could be a pipe dream, but I mean, I'm not making the decisions. Now, I act like I am.
Letter to Alex Anthopoulos.
Letter to Liberty Media.
Yeah, don't listen.
Wow.
Nice
of you to show up.
College football, Texas quarterback Quinn Ewers is expected to miss time after suffering a grade 2 AC joint sprain in his right shoulder. And
they almost got beat at Houston.
They did. They almost did. It's not expected to be season-ending, though, and Steve Sarkisian said they're going to go through the week with Malik Murphy and Arch Manning both getting first-team reps. But if the game was played today, Malik Murphy would start for Texas. So all the Arch Manning fans hoping to see Arch. I don't know if you'll see him, unless, of course, their second string gets hurt. But there's the news out of Austin. We've got some lines out for this weekend. Tennessee is a 3.5-point favorite at Kentucky. That'll be at 6 on ESPN. And then Ole Miss is a 25.5-point favorite against Vanderbilt at home. UConn at Tennessee, and that's next week. That'll be an 11 a.m. kick on the SEC network. And then Auburn and Vandy will be a 3 o'clock kick.
Now, wait a minute. Hold on. This is a week from Saturday.
A week from Saturday.
UConn at Tennessee. That'll be a thriller. So Vandy, Auburn here, 3:00.
3:00. Yep.
Okay.
And then that CBS game at 2:30, Missouri, Georgia in Athens, which I think could be a good game. And then LSU, Bama's the night game. So I would guess that's
6:45.
Yeah.
Be there.
That's where Nestler and Danielson will be. Speaking of Danielson, I don't think he's got many Tennessee fan friends, especially after this weekend. Some of his comments.
You got to help me here.
The truth? And
well,
what do you do? Just tell the truth?
That could have been what he did, Kelly. But it all started with him calling Neyland Stadium just like any other stadium, or just as loud as any other.
That was a mistake.
And then this weekend, there's a lot of talk that he's an Alabama fan, especially during the game.
Is he on Nick's payroll?
That's what Tennessee
is that what
fans
we're
think.
alleging?
That falls under the category of who cares.
Let me pass out Kelly's phone number, so if any of you would
Go
like
ahead.
to,
Go ahead. Who cares?
It's a 615 area code.
I mean, you got beat. Move on.
Wow.
I mean, 27 points you give up in the second half.
Yeah.
You didn't
Hard to
sniff
argue.
it. I mean, what do you do?
I think the biggest reason they're mad, Kelly, is that Alabama was one of the most penalized teams, especially in the offensive line with holding calls, and they only had one penalty all day. And they could maybe they played cleaner. I mean, we forget about that, but statistically, there were a lot of penalties called against Alabama, but there weren't any on Saturday.
That's crying, man. Let's move on. You got beat.
Falls under the category of who cares.
Thank you,
Who
Francis.
cares?
Okay, so is your update complete?
It is complete.
It's complete. Okay. After the break, Watson Brown will join us. Obviously, the Titans did not have a game yesterday, but there's a lot to talk about, a lot to speculate about, a lot of where do they go from here? We'll do that next.
It was the most horrible experience that any mother could ever go through. I knew that I needed to get help. My friend, she immediately said, "You need to call Bart Durham." And you guys were there within an hour. You guys are like family for us.
Yeah, sure is nice to connect with the people that you're doing your best to help.
Year number 2 of the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night was awesome. And the reason is really simple. I chose Strike and Spare, and they were amazing. They have great food, great bowling, and a staff that is truly ready to go the extra mile to help you. They have 5 family fun centers in the area to choose from, and for more info, go to strikeandspare.com or call them at 615-824-5685.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
I'm Watson Brown.
I'm Kelly Holcomb.
I'm Billy Derrick.
We're the George Plaster Show. We've been Nashville's best sports talk for the last 30 years. And you know what? We still are.
Catch us live weekdays from 2 to 4 p.m. Central Time in Nashville on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. Also, the podcast version is available on Spotify and Apple Podcasts.
Looking for more than just awards and trophies? Southern Trophy House is your one-stop solution. For over 60 years, their team has created lasting impressions with a personalized touch. From embroidery to screen-printed apparel to corporate awards, signs, and name badges, they have everything you need to keep your brand shining bright. With their knowledgeable customer service team, you can relax as they create, produce, pack, and ship merchandise and awards on time and on budget. That includes etched crystal awards, custom-cut acrylic, name badges, embroidered Richardson ball caps, banners, screen-printed T-shirts, laser-engraved Yeti cups, and knives. Recognize your hard-working team from Southern Trophy House, where they do their best to help you recognize your best. Located at 2705 Nolensville Pike in Nashville, give them a holler, 615-256-7295. Visit southerntrophy.com. Southern Trophy House, for all your personalization and recognition needs. As the Titans come back from their bye week, here is an up-to-date look at the AFC South standings. Jacksonville, by way of that big win in London against the Bills, and now the road win at New Orleans, sits atop at 5-2. An improving Houston is at 3-3. An Indy that got an absolute hose job yesterday is 3-4, but ought to be 4-3. And the Tennessee Titans at the moment are last in the division at 2-4. So with that, this is a backdrop. Let me bring Watson Brown in to start this. Watson, normally I would say with no hesitation, it's over, who's kidding who. And really the only reason that you can legitimately find not to right now is Vrabel's history of essentially pulling rabbits out of the hat when it looks like its darkest moment. Are you kind of with me on that?
Yes, and I still don't think, George, the division is a killer. Jacksonville looks good, but beatable. And I know the other two are, even though we've already lost to the Colts in a very close game. So I would say two things, just Mike's background when his back gets against the wall, and the division is still not a killer to me.
Okay, let me take it one step further, and I'll get both of you all to comment on all this. So with the trade deadline at Halloween next Tuesday, does the Falcons game take on a, if they win, here's the plan, if they lose, totally different plan? Watson, I'll start that with you.
I think it would be the whole division a little bit of what happens this next week. But if they're in a trade mode, we'll see it go down before then. If they're going to do that, George, to me, they've already got to made up their mind on that. It's just too late not to. You can't wait till and have 2 days or something. They got to be talking to people if anybody's hot. 3 names I've heard is Baird and Henry and Hopkins are the 3 that I've heard. I hadn't heard much with Tannehill. Of course, he's hurt. I don't know if anybody would trade for him right now with the injury and not knowing how long that injury would take to get him healed. So I would bet they're already either in or out. We're going to ride this thing out and see if we can't get in the playoffs, or let's go for it right now. And I would bet you in the next 6 days or so we'll see a trade if they're going to do that.
Kelly, give me your version of let's play GM.
Yeah, I think a lot of it hinges on this Atlanta game. I do, George. I think that Atlanta's obviously very beatable. They've got a quarterback that is, I don't know if they're really sold on him yet. I could see. I just don't know about the trade deal. I mean, you don't see that many trades nowadays that are significant in this time of year. I don't know. I'm kind of with Coach, though. I think that the division is still, I don't know if it's up in the air. I think Jacksonville's pretty good. Uh, I think Houston's getting better. I think Indianapolis is probably better this year with Gardner Minshew. And you're right, they got kind of messed up yesterday. But we all thought at the beginning of the year that it was the Titans to lose, but all these teams are getting better, and these young quarterbacks are working out a little bit. So I think you got to give it. I think you got to give it a little bit more time, but I think this is a huge game because I think that I know that Atlanta is a 1-point favorite. It's what Billy said, but very beatable team. But it's just going to be interesting to see what happens at the quarterback position this week because I'm like Terry. I just if he hurt that same ankle and that was bothering him last year and he's done it again, I just can't see him playing. I can't see him playing this week, and it's going to be interesting to see which avenue they go with the quarterbacks.
I want you all to take a look at the schedule because the NFL did them no favors on this. Once Atlanta is done, where they will have played, am I right, 3 of their first 7 at home. Yeah, that's right. Then 3 in a row on the road at Pittsburgh, at Tampa, at Jacksonville, meaning there's a real possibility that by the time the Titans get a cluster of home games, it won't matter. Watson, do you take that into account?
Yeah, I think they've made up their mind. I still believe that. You can't wait till 3 days before the end of the trades to make up your mind. They're either they're going to keep what they got, or they're going to trade some of these guys. I think, and I think they already
Real quick,
know that.
Watson. Let me interrupt you real quick. According to a source, Ian Rappaport, the Eagles are trading for Kevin Byard.
Telling you, that's doesn't surprise me.
Just saw it.
Wow.
And that's why I say they're already got their minds made up to trade or not. And I think the quarterback injury last week, really nearly 2 weeks, a week and a half ago, has a lot to do with this now. They know they got to go with young quarterbacks. They know that's going to be really hard for them to win the division with these guys right now. And I think that would have something I think the injury to Tannehill would have something to do with this. Now, if they wanted to trade Ryan, I think that's kind of out the window because we don't know. The ankle that he hurt last year, he had operated on. They fixed that, if you remember. Best I can remember.
Right.
And so I don't think they'd want to operate on that a second time. And so now they're going to have to let it heal. And usually the surgery speeds up the process. It doesn't slow it down. It speeds it up. So Ryan's tougher than nails. And he will play hurt, and he'll play walking on one leg. I've seen him do that. So he'll come back and try to do that to help the team. But no, if the Baird thing goes down, that doesn't surprise me at all.
Well, guys, doesn't that sort of give you now the answer?
Yeah, it kind of does, George. And then Kevin Byard seems like a great. That seems like a great place for him because Nick Sirianni was here, and then Reed Blankenship. I think Kevin Byard was the one that got Reed Blankenship to the Philadelphia Eagles, and now he's injured. He got hurt last week.
Mm-hmm.
So I can see, you have 2 middle guys on that team, and Reed Blankenship's obviously he was playing really good, and now you try to get Kevin Byard, who's one of the better safeties the last couple of years in the league. So it kind of makes sense to me. So yeah, that kind of it senses that that's kind of where the Tennessee Titans are at right now, especially if they because they're going to have to play. I believe firmly they're going to have to play one of these young quarterbacks. And if it was me, I'm going with Will Levis because I know what Malik Willis can do. I've seen it. He showed it last week. I want to see what the young kid can do to see if we got a future with him. That's kind of where I would go with that.
Okay, this is going to be some interesting territory because this trade, number one, is not going to go down as a real popular move. Byard is a very popular person in this area, got local ties, very charity oriented. Billy, tell me they got something draft wise pretty good.
Don't know yet. It's all just stores. They have traded him, so no other details have surfaced.
Okay, we're gonna put a message into Terry. We'll try to get him back on before the end of the hour. So, yeah,
I have to laugh. You know who they're getting in the trade?
Yeah,
AJ Brown.
Byard.
Yeah,
for
that's
Brown.
not going to work.
well,
That's not going to happen.
I can see it,
Lord.
given that he didn't play very well last night against Miami. Good
Good
Lord.
gracious.
Well, not at all.
What
Did
a
you see where
beast.
he right now? Did you see where right now he has more yards than all of the receivers on the Titans combined?
Ooh. That's
I
ugly.
read that article this morning. I started laughing. I said, "Now wait a minute. He's got more yards himself than the whole receiving core of the Titans."
I think that might have happened last year too.
Yeah, they put
Oh,
something up there
my
last night
gracious
where
alive.
he said has he had 5 games of 125 receiving
Yeah.
yards, which
In a
puts him
row.
in a row. So that puts him in like
in the
a
record
very
books.
prestigious company. Yes, absolutely.
Okay, from Diana Rossini on Twitter, the Titans are trading All-Pro defensive back Kevin Byard to the Eagles. The Eagles will be sending the Titans a 2024 5th and 6th rounder and safety Terrell Edmonds, per sources.
Oh wow,
So they're getting Edmonds
Edmonds.
and a couple of draft picks.
Yeah,
Oh,
the
wow.
draft picks don't impress me.
No,
Yeah, I mean that's you're not going to get any good draft picks. I mean they just not going to do that. That's what Coach talked about the other day. Even Derrick Henry, if you trade him, you're not going to get a big draft pick. I mean draft picks are what like when you're talking about the draft, you're going to give up a second round pick and something to get something. I mean that's when you get those high draft picks in the draft when you start talking about picks. But when you're talking about a player getting stuff for him, it's just not going to happen anymore.
and Byard is actually from Philly. I didn't know that. So he's
I
returning.
did not know that either.
So,
Well, and
okay.
he's getting up in age, guys. He's getting up in age.
Mhm.
They're not going to get a ton for him. It sounds to me like that's a pretty decent deal, to be very honest. You get a 5th and a 6th. You can get good players in 5 and 6.
And a player, yeah, that's pretty good.
And a safety and a solid player that can come in and play the place he was playing. And
Yep.
so and he's getting on up. And you know, there was a lot of rift in signing him this year. And the money that he got, and Kevin got upset about it. And I mean, so this makes sense to me. If I had to pick the first that would go, this is the one I would have picked.
I bet it doesn't make much sense to Edmonds.
Oh, I don't think he'd be a happy camper.
No, he's upset because they got a chance to go all the way with that football team, and then he's coming to this place.
So let me go back with both of you on the issue that we think we'll be facing this weekend, and that is who's going to be the quarterback. Watson, after more thought about it, any reason it shouldn't be Will Levis?
Only if they still think that Willis has got a shot. I read the quote from Mike the other day, and I don't know why he says this, but if he's trying to lead the next team to play on or something, but he said, I think he's gotten a whole lot better since last year. That was Mike's quote. So I don't know. I still believe it's up for grabs. If it's me, I'm with Kelly. I got to go with Levis and find out. I've seen Willis. I can't imagine there being great improvement. Now he could play a lot better than he did the other day because he went in and dropped back time, and you couldn't put him in a worse spot for that. But my gracious, he's on the goal line, clock's running down. We got to score twice, and he sits there and takes sack after sack. You just don't do that as a quarterback. So that really bothered me that he would do that. But if you put him in just to run the offense, he will play a lot better than he did at the end of that game. But I would go with Levis. I'd want to see what he can do. I got to know before this year's over, do I have the quarterback on the team for the future? Is he here? And if he's not, they're back into trading again. And here we've put a high second round and a third round and 2 quarterbacks. We better have one for the future, or they're really in trouble, if you ask me.
Kelly, let me try it this way. What is it that they are so hesitant about concerning Will Levis?
I'm not sure, George. I just think that I don't. I think it comes down to a confidence deal. I think Mike Vrabel, but I think he understands where the situation where they're at right now. He obviously is the head coach. He knows offensive line wise they have a tough time blocking, they have a tough time holding up on pass protection. And are you going to put a guy back there that might get his confidence shattered? I'm not. I think that's probably a little bit why why he's so behind Malik Willis, because I think he got put into that situation last year, and I don't think he wants to do it with Will Levis. So that's the only question that I could think, George. But I mean, we've talked about it a bunch, and Coach just said it. I mean, I've seen enough of Malik Willis. I don't. I mean, I can't believe Vrabel. I didn't see that he said that, but I can't believe that he said that because to me, I mean, he's gotten a little better, but like when you're taking sacks, like he takes sacks, that means your decisions are not quick enough. You're indecisive on what you want to do on the field, and you're waiting to see guys get open instead of throwing them open. And when you understand as a quarterback, like I used to tell people this all the time. I knew like pre-snap, I knew probably what the coverage was. Now sometimes I would get fooled on post-snap because they would change, but for the most part, I knew where I was going with the ball because if I'm there to throw the ball, I know if I'm working this side or this side based on the concept of the play. And I know, hey, I can get this ball out of my hand quicker. I might have to hold it on this one, but situational football, it doesn't seem like Malik's taking that step because when you've taken all those sacks, you're indecisive in your decision making. And I don't like that. If it's me, I'm going to do exactly what Coach just said. I'm going to play Will Levis because by the end of the year, I have to know if I've got a quarterback on my team that can play. If Ryan Tannehill does not come back, I have to know, or I'm going to have to go back to the drawing board again. And I just think you got to put him in there and see what he can do.
Okay, let me end it like this. I never dreamed when we went down this road today that we would have a trade right in the middle of the show as though they were handing it to me. Does this now, Watson, make you think that Derrick Henry could be traded? Which, by the way, I think from a fan base standpoint would go over like a you-know-what in a punch bowl.
Yeah, and he could, but I don't think they will. I think they'll try to ride him for another year. I think they see he's still got quickness, and I think they think he can still play, and I think they can fix this in a year with all the draft picks they got coming up. And they want to leave, and I promise you, George, Kelly, they don't want to say Ryan Tannehill's their quarterback next year. They don't want to have to re-sign, put a lot of money back in him again, and this is it for him. That's not what they want to happen. So that's why, to me, they've got to put Levis out there. The reason I think they haven't is he didn't play. He didn't play in the preseason. He got hurt, and so they hadn't seen him. He got in one preseason game for just a little bit. He got hurt in that scrimmage thing where they brought whatever team came to town that they were against, and he got hurt that day, and really he hadn't been back since. So they just don't know. That's why I think they got to put him out there and find out, in my opinion. But I don't think they will. I don't think they'll trade Derrick Henry. No, I do not.
Terry McCormick is going to rejoin us after the break. He is confirmed with Bayard's agent that the trade absolutely is going down to Philly. Kelly, you heard the question on Derrick Henry. Any thoughts there?
No, I think you said it when you're talking about Kevin Byard. Kevin Byard is a big guy in the community. He's a very well-loved Titans player. Now, if you trade Derrick Henry, that's going to be a double. That's going to be a double deal. And I don't think he's finished yet. I think he has no help up front, George. They can't block anybody right now, and there's no holes being open for him. So I don't think it's a deal where Derrick Henry is washed up. He just has no help right now. So I don't know if they'll do anything. They could. I mean, they could. I think they'd like the Tajay Spirit kid, but you've got to have a staple of running backs on your team, and you've got to be able to, because they don't make them like they used to, Coach. You know this, like when guys never came out. Nowadays, they go 3 or 4 plays in a row where you give them the ball and they're tapping on their head. They're wanting to come out. So you got to have a staple of running backs back there. But I'm not sure after they've just let go Kevin Byard, he's been traded. I don't think you could do that as a public relations standpoint with your fans. But I mean, if they think that's what's best for the team, they could do that. I just don't see that happening, George.
Okay, let me do this. Let me thank Watson for taking the time to come on. Watson, I never dreamed when we put this together that we'd be in the middle of a trade that actually might tell us a little bit more about where this team is headed. Thank you for the visit. We'll do it again soon.
Glad to do it, guys. See y'all.
Watson Brown joining us. So if you're just tuning in, Kevin Byard is now a Philadelphia Eagle. Billy, run through the particulars again.
The Titans from the Eagles, they get a 5th and 6th rounder next year, 2024, and Terrell Edmonds, their safety. So a little safety for safety trade, plus a few draft picks there. But again, I don't think Byard is on the same level as Edmonds. Byard's an elite NFL safety. So there's the deal.
Okay, we'll get Terry McCormick back in here after the break, see what he knows about it. Stick around. We got plenty more coming.
Forget the fact that Sir Speedy Music City is owned by my BGA classmate James Warren. Their work stands on its own merit. James and his staff do incredible work, as evidenced by the huge banners at the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night. If you're looking for quality to help your marketing and business communications, and you want it at a reasonable price, these are your folks. Call them at 615-832-9511 or go to print at sirspeedymusiccity.com. And be sure to tell them Plaz sent you.
Family owned and operated for more than 2 decades, Alaco Fine Wood Floors is Nashville and Middle Tennessee's choice for premium quality hardwood floors. Since 1995, Jimmy Alaco and his army of employees have embodied the approach of taking pride in one's craft and providing superior customer service, growing from a one-man shop to a team of 23 professionals who share the founder's passion for quality craftsmanship and customer satisfaction. If you are interested in contacting them, you can find their headquarters at 2505 Winford Avenue in Berry Hill, or give them a call at 615-356-0303. Again, that's 615-356-0303, or log on to alacofinewoodfloors.com. Alaco Fine Wood Floors, serving Middle Tennessee's hardwood flooring needs since 1995.
Over the years, more men have started to seek help for hormone deficiencies and imbalances, and Dr. Jeffrey Lodge and wife Daphne, along with their experienced staff, give men the treatment required to improve their quality of life, improve your immune system, energy level, cognitive function, and more. There's no better time to achieve a healthy lifestyle. What are you waiting for? Give Cool Springs MD a call today for an appointment at 615-486-3458 or visit the website coolspringsmd.com.
For over 35 years, Wilson Bank & Trust has been committed to providing customized banking solutions to help individuals, families, and businesses in Tennessee achieve their goals. As your full-service community bank, we are proud to offer loans with competitive rates, local decision-making, and fast, friendly service from our experienced lenders. No matter where you are on your financial journey, Wilson Bank & Trust is ready to help you take the next step. Visit your nearest Wilson Bank & Trust office or online at wilsonbank.com to get started today. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Little did we know when we hit the airwaves today that the Titans were going to trade Kevin Byard right in the middle of our show. So let's bring Terry McCormick, Main Street Media, back to our microphones. Terry, I know you've confirmed this with Byard's agent. Tell me, read the tea leaves here. What does this tell you?
This tells me the Titans are rebuilding, George. I mean, this is the start of it. I mean, you don't let go a face of the franchise like Kevin Byard unless A, he wants out, or B, you think that it's time to tear it down and rebuild. According to what Diana Rossini put out there, the Titans would be receiving safety Terrell Edmonds and 2 draft picks, a 5th rounder and a 6th rounder from the Eagles in return for Byard. So, don't know a lot about Edmonds. I remember him from his Pittsburgh Steelers days. Seemed like he was a decent player, but certainly not on the level of Kevin Byard and the 2 draft picks that they're getting back, a 5th and a 6th. It helps to stockpile the number of picks because they were short on that last year or going into 2024, but certainly not anything of great value that you would say allows you to guarantee a difference maker.
Okay, earlier this summer, we got wind that Kevin Byard and Rand Carthon were not going to be exchanging Christmas cards. Did that have anything to do with this?
I don't know if it had a direct bearing on it, but it probably didn't help, George. I mean, you think about it. You know, the GM came to him asking to take a pay cut. He said that his play did not warrant taking a pay cut. Then later on, about, at the end of mini camps and all, he acquiesced. He agreed to a restructured deal that cut his salary by about $3 million, which amazingly enough allowed them to add DeAndre Hopkins, which was supposed to be one of the big pieces that kept this team in contention. And now they're shedding Kevin Byard, 6 weeks into the season. So it's kind of interesting. I mean, I guess there's the thought that Kevin Byard was going to be a cap cut anyway with a high cap number next year with the Titans, as they probably would, still be involved in the rebuild. So I guess the move was they decided to get something for him rather than nothing.
Okay, let's speculate here, Terry, if this is because clearly 2 weeks ago you came out and said it one way, I came out and said it another. You said if they play their A game, they can be pretty dangerous, but they're not always going to play their A game. I went with the who's kidding who. This is a 7-10 football team. Apparently, Rand Carthon agreed with us.
Apparently so. I mean, because I don't think this team is going to contend this year, and they certainly aren't better off for having shed Kevin Byard. So it looks like the rebuild is on. And George, if you continue to think about this, this is probably just the first domino to fall. And I got to think that if you're going full out rebuild, then this probably reinforces the thought that Will Levis might be your quarterback on Sunday.
Yeah. So it seems like Vrabel has put out a lot of signs that don't point to this, But now Carthon has made this move that does point to this. So who's next in the moving van business?
It's a good question. I mean, there's still a few names. If they really wanted to move on from Derrick Henry, I guess they could. DeAndre Hopkins would probably, fetch something for them. But I think it's a situation where, like I told you before, George, when you start to deal off these veteran players and you get back middle round draft picks, the return on investment's not always what you would hope it would be.
Okay, I'm going to assume for just speculation, you can't move Tannehill right now just simply because of the injury. Yes?
Correct. I would think that anybody that took on Tannehill, if they wanted to move him, would want to see him healthy and available to play. Normally these types of issues, ankle injuries and all, would warrant that he probably is going to miss about 2 to 3 weeks, I would think. So, we don't know exactly what the extent of it is, but Vrabel hinted that it was a lot like last year. He missed 2 games last year, and it was obvious, George, when they brought him back, that it was probably a little bit too soon.
Okay, let me try this one on you. And this seems kind of strange to feel this way, but the Eagles were desperate enough a week ago to bring Julio Jones, who is a shadow of the great Atlanta Julio Jones, back. DeAndre Hopkins to somebody fairly soon?
I wouldn't rule it out now. I mean, because, it's a situation where I would think that if the Titans were inclined to do that, they would want to see Traylon Burks back and being healthy before they moved on from DeAndre Hopkins, because then you'd really be in a world of hurt at the receiver position if you were without both of those guys. So that's probably something to keep an eye on here in the coming days and in the next week or so to see what might happen. But at this point, I don't think you can rule out much of anything that they moved on from Kevin Byard.
Kelly, I've got to have Terry out of here in 2 minutes. Anything you want to add or a question for Terry you might want to ask?
No, I was just thinking right now, you're talking about Derrick Henry, but I think DeAndre Hopkins is probably the more trade bait than Derrick Henry is, especially with him just coming to the team. Maybe he has a little bit more value, but I think he might be too, saying like, I don't know if he's putting feelers out saying, it's getting late in my career. I want to go to a team that I can have a chance to win with. So maybe that's where that comes in. I think he would probably be more trade bait than Derrick Henry at this point.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you, Kelly. I think you're right on. I think, Hopkins certainly has shown in the 6 weeks that he's been on the field as a Titan that he certainly has quite a bit left in the tank. Not that Henry doesn't, but it goes back to this. The Titans are built around the run game and Derrick Henry. There are not a lot of teams that are built that way in the NFL now. It's so much easier for a wide receiver to come in and add to an offense than it is to put Derrick Henry in an offense, because he's never really been a supporting piece. He's always been the featured back here, at least since he became the starter. And I don't think anybody else values Derrick Henry the way the Titans do.
Terry, just this thought. Is this something Mike Vrabel endorsed? Because deep down, this doesn't sound like it.
Well, I mean, it may be, and who knows, it may be a situation where they went to Kevin Byard and said, hey, we can do this for you. Do you want to do it? And maybe laid their cards on the table and said, we're headed for a rebuild. What do you think? And the chance to win in Philadelphia certainly would be alluring, especially since that's where he's originally from as well.
Okay, listen, on really short notice, appreciate it. Let's see where all this goes.
All right, sounds good. Thanks.
Terry McCormick rejoining us. If you are just joining us and wondering what in the world is going on, Billy, lay it out there one more time.
The Eagles have traded for Kevin Byard. The Titans received Terrell Edmonds and 2 draft picks, both next year, 1 5th rounder and then 1 6th rounder. So that's what we've got.
Okay, when we come back, stat of the day. We had a respectable week on stat of the day. We need to build on that. And then we'll get into some college football talk, and there's a lot to get into, including the Big Orange meltdown in Tuscaloosa. Stay with us.
Convenience and value, two words that we expect when we do business. Our goal at JHA Company is to deliver just that, both to our school partners and to our customers. Whether you're purchasing photos, yearbooks, class jewelry, letter jackets, school spirit wear, or senior graduation products, we strive to make the experience easy, convenient, and cost-effective. Find out more at jhacompany.com or call 615-867-6345 for more information. JHA, one source, one company.
You were in a crash.
Yeah.
Your kids were in the car with you.
We're very lucky to even be telling this story to you. Nikki treated us like family, and she was very caring and loving, and I'm just so grateful for that. She was somebody I could trust, and being a veteran, that's so important to me. My kids are going to have a better life now because I don't have to worry about those expenses that we were out. Your family has really created a legacy of trust, and I would recommend you to anyone.
Star Physical Therapy was established in 1997 with one great mission: to serve. If you're hurting, don't wait to receive physical therapy. You don't need a referral to see their physical therapist, and early morning and evening appointments are available. Make the call to 615-673-1420 and get rid of that pain. Star Physical Therapy, the official health provider of Football Friday. So who said I can't be a golfer? Well, you know what? This is X Golf, located just down the road from the Fordyce Center in Bellevue. This is fun. It'll improve your golf game, and you need to stop in and check it out. 8138 Sawyer Brown Road, and who knows, I may get to 200 before it's all over.
All right, I'm here with my buddy Chip Ward from Lincoln Home Loans. And Chip, it's football season, and it's also, it feels like it's moving season every time of the year, especially here in Nashville. Tell us about your business, Chip, and kind of introduce people to who you are and what you do here in the Nashville area.
Well, you're exactly right, Billy. It is definitely moving season, as it is most times, especially right here after Labor Day. Kids are back in school, and people are starting to think they want to get settled in before the holidays. And so what we are doing is right now we are getting a lot of people pre-approved for home loans. Inventory has ticked up a little bit. You know, it has been down, but it's rebounding a little bit. And right now is a good time to buy.
Chip, real quick before I let you go, tell people how they can reach you, and if someone is interested in your business, how would they reach out to you?
Well, sure. At Lincoln Home Loans, you can reach me at 615-500-7579. My URL for my application page is chipward.net, and my email address is simply chip@chipward.net. And so I'd love to hear from anybody. I can answer any questions about the whole home buying and financing process.
Well, if you haven't already heard or happen to be living under a rock, the Titans have traded Kevin Byard to the Eagles for Terrell Edmonds and a couple of draft picks. So I'm sure we'll be talking about that the rest of the week. But now, stat of the day brought to you by John English Antique Sports and Cards. You can find them in Shelbyville. They're open during the week, Tuesday through Friday from noon to 5, and Saturdays from 10 a.m. to 5. Give them a call, 931-492-4304. All right, let's see what Matthew's got cooked up for us today. Patrick Mahomes now has 5 games with at least 400 passing yards and 4 passing touchdowns. Who's the only quarterback with more games with 400-plus yards and 4-plus touchdowns?
Ooh. Okay, let's throw out possibilities.
Dan Marino
A good
is one of them.
possibility. That's a good one. Joe Montana would be a good one.
Peyton probably would be a good one.
Peyton would be a very good one. I would lean to Peyton just because I think as the farther we go, the more inflated passing numbers became.
Yeah, have we hit it? Have we hit it, Billy?
You have hit it, yes.
No.
Peyton?
Now it's up to it is Peyton Manning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We're cooking with gas.
Peyton Manning.
After some cold winters, we're now cooking with gas.
What is that? 3 in a row now? Something like that.
Something like that.
It's gotten easier. I'll say that.
Tell him to keep sending us the answers. I'm just kidding.
Like it.
Okay, are we now officially into the 3 o'clock hour?
We are.
I guess we are. Okay, let's start with what a lot of people in this area want to talk about, and that is not necessarily that Tennessee lost at Alabama, because on the surface, there is nothing about that to be completely embarrassed about. But what is embarrassing is that you lose by 14 after leading at the half by 10. Kelly, how does that happen?
Called halftime adjustments. Alabama made them, and UT kind of stayed stuck in the same old mode. I opened that game up watching it. That was the game of the week. Everybody was watching it. Third Saturday in October. A lot of tradition, but to start the game, I mean, Alabama could not stop UT. They couldn't stop them running. They couldn't stop them throwing the football. I thought Alabama's DBs were giving them too much cushion, and they were just having their way. Joe Milton came out on fire to begin the game. I think he completed like 7 in a row or something like that. He looked really good. The Spur White kid made an amazing catch down there for the first touchdown. That was amazing. I still don't see how he caught that football. But it's kind of amazing to watch Nick Saban. Everybody talks about Nick Saban, but he's 70-something years old now. He's seen everything. He gets upset sometimes, but for the most part, and I always tell coaches this, younger coaches, a team always carries the personality of their coach. And you never see Nick Saban going crazy. I'm sure he probably did when he was younger. But when he's 70-something years old, he gets mad about fundamental stuff. He gets mad about jumping off sides and not catching the punt as he went crazy when the kid let the ball go all the way down to the 1-yard line, which that used to grate me too. But he always stays calm, and they're down 20-7, and he just said, "Hey, we're not playing good. We got to figure it out. We got to figure out offensively what we're doing. We got to sustain some drives, and we got to get them off the field on third down on defense." And that's what they weren't doing. Second half, they go in, they make really good halftime adjustments. They're not letting guys have free releases. They're getting up in the receivers' faces. And it was a really total dominant performance by Alabama in the second half when you outscore UT 27-0. I don't know. I mean, you can be mad all you want to, but it seems like it seems like you got outcoached in the second half.
Give me your thoughts here. What were the adjustments, first of all, on Alabama's end? Certainly the lining up and cramming it down Tennessee's throat to start the second half got the ball rolling, but what were the adjustments?
Well, I just think that they weren't allowing people to have free releases. They were getting guys up in their face on defense, and then offensively, I mean, when you come out and you score in 2 plays and go 75 yards, that kind of gives everybody kind of a little bit momentum going into the game. And I thought they were able to they probably did some things in the run game wise. I know that they had a reverse to kind of start on one of the drives and got some pretty good yardage. But, it's just sometimes it's an attitude adjustment when you go in there too, George. I'm sure he got after him a little bit, but I'm sure I just think defensively, I kept – and he loves to play man defense. They love to play that match coverage. I wish they would sprinkle in a little bit more cover twos in there. and doing things like that. But the way that UT can run the football, I mean, you got to get an extra body in there sometimes. But I just like what they did outside. I mean, that's kind of what you think of the Alabama defense when you're a college quarterback and when you're having to be accurate with the football and you're not having guys that are wide open. You normally used to not see that from Alabama. Every pass, when they had their really good defenses, every pass, they had somebody there trying to knock it down. And if you completed the ball, you had to make a good throw. And that just seems like what they did in the second half. They seemed like they put a little more pressure. They were able to do some things defensive with some line stunts and doing things like that. And obviously when they sacked the kid and they ran it in for a touchdown, that was the deciding play in the game because it was still a game. But sometimes just an attitude adjustment. Sometimes it's fundamental stuff. Sometimes it's scheme stuff. I thought defensively they didn't let them have easy routes. And I think offensively, when you come out and you score as fast as they did, and it kind of gave Milroe a little sense of confidence in there and kind of got the ball rolling for them on offense.
Okay, I want both of y'all to jump in on this. The loss Saturday, and what does it mean? The first thing it would appear to mean is that the game against Georgia in mid-November will not be for the SEC East. Would we probably say probability that that's true?
Yeah, I mean, I guess Tennessee would have to win out until then, and then obviously so would Georgia. But I don't think
Georgia would have to have a loss.
Oh, you're saying okay, right?
Yeah.
Georgia
for that game to have
yeah.
Eastern Division
Right.
implications for Tennessee.
Right. Tennessee likely had to win out. Georgia, you're right, would have to have at least one. I don't really see that happening. Now Missouri, I think, could maybe clip them, but no, I don't think. I think Georgia, Mizzou, right now, I mean, could be that game to decide the East.
Feels
right
that
now.
way, and it's at Georgia a year after Mizzou scared the crap out of the Dogs in Columbia. So, Kelly, what does this do to Tennessee and the things they want to accomplish this year?
I don't know. We've talked to Tony on quite extensively on this stuff. He said they were always a 9-3 football team. They've got a really tough test this week.
Yeah.
I mean, they go up to Kentucky, and Kentucky's kind of reeling a little bit. They got spanked by Missouri. So they're kind of reeling a little bit, and I think it's a pretty even match going into that game. Used to you couldn't say that about the UT Kentucky game, but I also say this, and Tony said it a couple of weeks ago: UT has trouble with Florida, Kentucky has trouble with UT. So it's better that it's at home for Kentucky, but I think that's going to be a really good game, and I think I don't. I don't think you're going to have the kind of you don't have the kind of team that you had last year for UT. You got to look at it realistically. And I've already said it. They lost 5 guys on offense that were really huge for them and did a lot of things, broke a lot of records, had some really good offensive linemen that are now playing in the National Football League. So you lost a lot of guys. And I think probably deep down, Josh Heupel knew that and knows that. But there's still things that they can do. I mean, they can capitalize on this season. I think you're right, George. I don't think that game with Georgia is going to be as significant if they would have kept winning as it's going to be because they lost to Alabama.
Yeah, and Kelly, remember when Tony was on a couple of weeks ago heading into the A&M game, or it was last week. Before that game, we said Tennessee at home feels like they got the edge. A&M after playing Alabama, tough, brutal fight. Now they got to go on the road and play Tennessee in Neyland. For Tennessee right now, you're coming off that Alabama loss in Tuscaloosa. Now you've got to get up off the mat and go up to Lexington. It will probably be a little chilly up there. Who knows? I mean, it feels like it's always chilly and freezing rain whenever Tennessee goes up there. So can you get up off the mat and go beat a team on the road? And it used to be, Kelly, against Alabama, man, you just mentally beat up and more importantly, physically beat up. So can you get up off the mat? I don't think it's that way as much anymore with Alabama, but we'll see if it's still a factor of Tennessee. Do they let Alabama beat them twice?
It's kind of amazing too, guys. If you look at it, I think Nick Saban has got that mentality with his team of they're 20-7 down. They just expect to win.
Yeah.
They expect to win. I don't know if UT's there yet. I mean, I think they came out of the box last year. They had a really good year, won the Orange Bowl, did some good things. They lost a really good quarterback, Joe Milton. He played good the other day. That's what shocked me the other day. Like, the guy is just so inconsistent. Like, he hasn't played that way, and then he comes out against Alabama, one of the better teams in the country, and plays really well. I mean, it wasn't his fault. I mean, he played really well. He was throwing the ball. They did things to begin the game with to give him some confidence, and then he got going into the game. But it's just amazing to see the type of program that Nick Saban has built. Like, those guys, it doesn't matter what the score is. At the end of the game, they think they're going to win the game, and that becomes a habit, just like losing becomes a habit. And it's just amazing to see that in certain organizations.
Alabama feels really mentally strong this year.
Oh, absolutely.
And that game proved it.
And that's Saban.
Oh yeah,
that's coming
because they're not that good. I mean, let's be honest. They're not the teams of old. No. And the guy that we've had on here says, it's going to be funny to see, because I don't think Nick Saban's coaches are his normal coaches. But you know what? That dude's 5-0 in the SEC with the team he's got. With a guy
this is one of the best jobs he's ever done.
And I saw this.
No question.
I saw this today in Alabama's wins over Ole Miss, A&M, and Tennessee. Bama's defense has given up a combined 6 second-half points. And obviously it's not pretty, right? But they've gotten it done. Kevin Steele, that new defensive coordinator, obviously he's been in the SEC before. That could be the hire of the offseason, because they have been dominant in the second half against these teams. They've made adjustments.
Billy, let's bag South Carolina, Missouri, and move on to Penn State.
As we should.
Yeah, maybe. So I got to see just enough of this to kind of ask myself, Penn State offensively, did they give themselves a real shot?
Well, no, they did not, George. I mean, they played that way all year, though, and I even heard somebody talking about, like Gus Johnson or the Joel Klatt guy.
Yeah,
he was talking about that the coaches get upset because they have not been able to throw the ball downfield all year, and they get upset because they're like, well, we haven't really played anybody to need to do that. But that thing, it came up the other day in the game. They struggled getting the ball down the field. And, the kid is a good-looking kid. I mean, he's from 2 hours. He's from Medina, Ohio. I've been in Medina when I was playing with the Browns. He's from there, and he always grew up as an Ohio State fan. But, man, the other day, his eyes got big. He did not look like the same kid that had been playing. And until you get you have to have explosive plays, George. Y'all know this. You have to have explosive plays in games, because if you don't get explosive plays, that's every time you got to snap the ball. You don't see many 16, 17-play drives without a team making mistakes. That's how the Tampa Bay Bucks won their Super Bowl a long time ago. Now, they had a really good offense, but Monty Kiffin, which was Lane Kiffin's daddy, he used to get in a 4-3 swim, cover 2 every play. And he had Gerard, not Gerard Warren, but he had Sapp, he had Derek Brooks, he had all them guys on defense, and he just said, hey, you can't drive the ball. You can't drive the ball on us. You're not going to have a 15, 16-play drive without making a mistake. Mm-hmm. And when you get chunk plays, that means you don't have to snap the ball anymore. It puts the percentages up. Well, when you've got an offense that cannot get the ball downfield like Penn State, you're going to struggle against the good teams. And that's what happened Saturday. They just could not press the ball down the field. I told y'all last week, James Franklin, he can't beat Ohio State. I mean, they do good up until Ohio State, but you can't beat Ohio State. I mean, that one time that they beat them, it was kind of a fluke where they kicked they blocked the field goal, they ran it in for a touchdown, and that's what beat Ohio State. But they just have been unable to beat. I think they said he was 0-9 against teams in the top 10 since he's been there on the road.
Yeah. Wonder if Michigan had anybody at that game.
I heard. I legitimately heard they did, George, and I saw a headline somewhere.
Right.
That might be true.
Did he have on a ski mask and
yeah.
They're recording stuff on the sideline. There's no question. He's got something in his eye or something, some technology that's looking straight at the signal callers.
I saw a picture on Twitter. There was somebody in a Michigan hat in the student section at Ohio State. It's like, there he is.
Notepad.
Yeah.
So Okay, now we've got Ohio State with a road win at Notre Dame and now a home win over a top 10 team in the country in Penn State. What they have left, we know, is the trip to Michigan.
The big house.
So is Ohio State now at a point where, because of these good things in their resume, that they could go to Michigan and lose close and get in?
I think
not
so.
Not if the University of Washington keeps winning. No.
But yes, that's where if that's the kicker. If Washington wins out, then Ohio State probably has to win out as well, because you've still got Florida State. You're going to get an SEC team in. I mean, I think we can agree on that, unless there's enough casualties in the SEC. But Washington's the team. If Washington doesn't win out, I don't know that they get in, because it's so jammed up there in the top four.
Well, here's what I'm wondering. Okay, and I'll admit it's early for this thought, but we now have a committee that allowed Georgia to play Alabama for a national title.
Mm-hmm.
We've had it a couple of times. Could you have an Ohio State versus Michigan national title?
I mean, I guess you could. Yeah. I mean, I guess you could.
I feel like it doesn't usually happen. Like whenever we want we want this matchup to happen, it usually doesn't. But this year, it feels like that is very likely. Because I think the big team to look at there is Georgia. Does Georgia?
Georgia.
Does Georgia end up getting in? I mean, they got to beat Tennessee and Neyland. If they don't beat Tennessee and Neyland, but they go and win the SEC, well, they wouldn't be in the SEC.
Yes, they would.
They would still be in the SEC
yes,
title.
Would.
Okay,
yes, they would.
So they would
we think unless Missouri beats them. There are a lot of ifs to this, and and sadly, we're playing all this out over the air. And
but I just think Georgia's the team to watch there.
I
Ohio
completely
State
agree. I think Georgia is the huge deal. Like if they keep winning and they win the SEC championship, they beat Alabama. If Alabama goes, they're in. But somebody's going to lose that Michigan-Ohio State game, obviously. And then if Florida State keeps winning, they're going to be in. And then if University of Washington wins, they're going to be in. So I think if whoever loses the Michigan-Ohio State game, I mean, I don't think they're in if the other teams win.
Okay. Last thing we're going to talk about on the college level. Whatever you think is the definition of a team taking on its coach's personality, I would offer up that bunch right there.
Yeah.
Utah, Kyle Whittingham.
Whittingham,
yeah. I put an L in there, didn't I? Kyle Whittingham, they've taken on his personality. That is one tough football team. And when USC backed them into a corner, they came out fighting.
Yeah,
George, it's amazing what those guys have done when their starting quarterback, Cam Rising, has been out the whole year. He's kind of a difference maker on that team. And they've not only started just the backup, but they've started a third string guy, and that's who's playing now, the Barnes kid. Like that was unbelievable what he did the other day in the waning minutes of that game. They had 3 timeouts. That's why if you're a coach, you will always want to keep them timeouts because you never know what's going to happen at the end of the game. But he was able to run for like a 35-yard game to get them inside the 20-yard line. And you're absolutely right, George. There's no quit in that football team. They've lost a game this year, but it's amazing that they've only lost one with the instability that they've had at the quarterback spot.
Well, and credit to their recruiting, that Barnes kid isn't that much different as a player than Rising. Rising can run, obviously a good arm, and he's a better quarterback, but Barnes he's a pretty good player too.
He could play for a bunch of folks. By the way, Utah, this is a game I'd like to see, hosts Oregon on Saturday.
That's game day. Game day's at Utah.
Yeah, that's a pretty good game right there.
Yeah,
that is going to be a good game.
Last thing on that. Kelly, in your opinion, when Caleb Williams scored the touchdown to give USC the 32-31 lead, did Utah allow it on purpose?
That's a good question. I'm not sure. I can't answer that question. I don't think so. But I don't know. I mean, they've still got 3 timeouts, so I don't know. That's where the timeouts come big into a game, and college game, and the pro game, and any game. When you keep those timeouts, you
Yes.
can kind of control what's going on, even if he doesn't score. I mean, they still got those 3 timeouts where they're going to get the ball back. I don't know. It was just amazing turn of events there. And, Caleb Williams is a very good player. I think he talks a little bit too much. He's kind of like Shador a little bit, but I mean, the guy's a really good football player. You cannot take that away from him. He's got it all. He's big, he can run, he's athletic, and he can throw the football. He didn't play good against Notre Dame, but he came back last week, gave those guys an opportunity to win. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I can answer that question, George. I just know that was a good job by Whittingham of keeping and managing the time in that game.
Terrific college game.
The question is, when does Caleb Williams decide to opt out?
Oh, I hope that doesn't happen.
He said he's making too much money in college, man. He didn't know if he's going to opt out or not.
And afford a pay cut.
Maybe he comes back.
Right.
Yeah. I mean,
that's right.
How could we ask that question? Okay, after the break, we'll get Kelly's top 4 with a 5th as an add-on. Then we'll do studs and duds, and then we'll call it a show. Stay tuned. We've got plenty more coming.
It was the most horrible experience that any mother could ever go through. I knew that I needed to get help. My friend, she immediately said, "You need to call Bart Durham." And you guys were there within an hour. You guys are like family for us.
Yeah, sure is nice to connect with the people that you're doing your best to help.
Year number 2 of the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night was awesome. And the reason is really simple. I chose Strike and Spare, and they were amazing. They have great food, great bowling, and a staff that is truly ready to go the extra mile to help you. They have 5 family fun centers in the area to choose from, and for more info, go to strikeandspare.com or call them at 615-824-5685.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
The George Plaster Show is Nashville's best sports talk, 2 to 4 p.m. Monday through Friday on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. There's a podcast version available on Spotify and Apple Podcast.
Looking for more than just awards and trophies? Southern Trophy House is your one-stop solution. For over 60 years, their team has created lasting impressions with a personalized touch. From embroidery to screen-printed apparel to corporate awards, signs, and name badges, they have everything you need to keep your brand shining bright. With their knowledgeable customer service team, you can relax as they create, produce, pack, and ship merchandise and awards on time and on budget. That includes etched crystal awards, custom-cut acrylic, name badges, embroidered Richardson ball caps, banners, screen-printed T-shirts, laser-engraved Yeti cups, and knives. Recognize your hardworking team from Southern Trophy House, where they do their best to help you recognize your best. Located at 2705 Nolensville Pike in Nashville, give them a holler, 615-256-7295. Visit southerntrophy.com. Southern Trophy House, for all your personalization and recognition needs.
Don't hold me to this, but I think the first official poll of the top four for the playoff
Is it next week?
I think it is next week. But here's a thought. How crazy would this be if we had 12?
This is the year to start it.
For instance, if we had 12, wouldn't Tennessee still be in consideration?
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
Wouldn't the Utah-Oregon game have huge meaning?
Yeah. Well, in the rankings, BCS, it was the top two teams. College football playoff now, it's just the top four. But with the 12, 1 through 25, like that 15 to 25 range are going to be some huge games down the road. But this is a good point from Rusty. There could be a goofy tiebreaker if you have a bunch of 6-2 SEC teams.
He's got,
and that could happen.
Could
in the West if LSU beats Alabama,
right.
2 6-2 teams. If it's probably not likely in the East, but Tennessee, Missouri, maybe a couple of 6-2. So
who knows?
Yeah.
So here's one for you: North Carolina's loss to Virginia, absolutely devastating. Watson told me that he had never seen Mac, whatever he saw Saturday night at the end, as down as he looked in that moment. And it is a shame because North Carolina's had a really good year. If you were at 12, it's a bad loss, but it's not forever.
Right.
It's not, but 12, you expand to 12, but it's almost like a loss like that would probably knock you out because there's going to be so many.
It's a bad loss.
Yeah. I couldn't.
He was making fun of it the other day, George, on the Silly Underdogs. You want to take Virginia? You remember that?
Who took Virginia?
Who did?
I don't know.
Nobody did.
Somebody?
No. You were just talking about that. You were making light of that. You said, "Why don't you take the Virginia?" North Carolina game.
Actually, I was trying to help you. It's all about trying to put you in the best possible light because on your own,
my game was better. My game was better than yours. Okay, homie.
Hold on.
Yeah, it was.
In this competition, I won this week.
Did you?
Oh, yeah.
Did you? Oh, because you picked two different games, didn't you?
I had the U, baby.
Oh, you had the U.
Yes, the U.
You picked Tennessee in the other one, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
Golly, dude. Are we kidding with that?
I know.
I didn't think about it. You kidding me, Francis?
The U. Okay. Are we going to show your 4 with maybe 5 in there?
There's
okay.
5, and then I didn't see a 6, so I just put.
You just put a bunch of junk in there.
Just put them all in there.
Why didn't you put Akron? Okay. So we're going with the theory that Georgia is number 1 until they lose. If the playoff committee were releasing a poll today, would they go with that same philosophy?
I think so.
I
think so. Yeah, it will be interesting. Because you got to look at all. They look at everything. They look at all the quality wins that they've had. They look at all that stuff. So they might not be number 1 for the committee.
In your mind, with Michigan 2nd, Ohio State 3rd, Florida State 4th, and there's Washington sitting at number 5, who is number 6 in your mind?
That's a brutal question to answer.
That is brutal, man. I think you got to go with Oklahoma. I think you got to go with Oklahoma.
Neutral site win over Texas.
Yeah.
They've got the best win out of those
Right.
4 right there. It's so hard
Then
right
I,
now.
then I think you got to go. Then I think you probably got to go Oregon. Then you go Texas with kind of the way they're stumbling because you don't want to put Alabama in front of Texas because Texas went to Tuscaloosa and beat them. So I don't know, but it seems like Texas is reeling a little bit, and now Quinn Ewers is going to be out. So it's going to be interesting to see just how. And I was going to say this too, George. Like the way that Texas was playing earlier in the year, they were really good, and then the last couple of games. I don't know. I don't know if it's focus. I don't know what it is, but they hadn't played well. And then
Not
Ewers
so
gets hurt
good.
this past game. Yeah, this
Yeah.
past game. So it seems like instead of doing kind of what Oklahoma's doing, they're going backwards.
Well, and Kelly, a big question here is, do you have a trump card? Right? Ohio State's right now, and they might even have 2 right now. Notre Dame, Penn State.
Yeah, Notre
Florida
Dame,
State.
Penn State.
Yeah, Florida State's is LSU. Washington's right now is Oregon.
Oregon. Yeah.
Oklahoma's is Texas. Texas is Alabama. Alabama doesn't. I don't know that they have a trump card right now. Oregon, don't think they really have a trump card. Georgia, not yet. So, if you've got that, if you've got a win that you can say we've got this, so we're feeling good. Ohio State might be the team now. They've got 2 great wins.
Really good wins. Yeah.
Yeah, top 15 team. So they might be the safest. And then Florida State, I think, is pretty safe. Other than that, though, and Michigan too, but there's still so much to happen.
Nobody's safe.
Yeah, nobody.
So nobody.
Nobody.
I don't think
Not
anybody,
yet.
man. Like I said, Michigan and Ohio State's got to play here in a couple of weeks, so somebody's going to lose that game. So where does that kick them to? And if Washington keeps winning, that's going to kick them at least to number 5.
Well, don't you have to tell me what kind of game that is? If that's a 27-24, the loser might not drop to any great extent. 41-10.
They're at least going to go to number 5. Would you not think? If everybody else is undefeated up above them,
yeah,
they're at least going to go. They're at least going to fall out of the top 4, and they're going to go to 5th.
Okay.
And what I was going to ask you, Billy, I'm sorry, George, but does the Pac-12 have a championship game, or do they not?
Yes. Yeah, they do.
They do. Okay.
Yeah, and these championship games are always the biggest factor. Now, I think the committee doesn't put a ton of stock into those because you've seen in the past, Alabama, or Georgia, they lost out that year. They lost Alabama in the conference title.
Yeah.
They still got in, right? So, if Washington and Oregon meet in the Pac-12 title, which of course they probably will, how much does that really even mean? Say Oregon. Now, if Washington beats Oregon, Oregon's obviously out. But if Oregon beats Washington after both of them went out, do both of them get in? The Pac-12 could be the first year they get 2 potentially in.
Yeah, they need to get 1 first.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
They might, and they might just do what they do every year and cannibalize each other.
Okay, we ready for studs and duds?
Do it.
Okay, again, you don't have to agree with where I'm going. This is just one person's take on the weekend. Stud number 1. I went Ohio State. Did I come away that impressed? I don't know. I put them in there, but I can't say I was just, Ohio State.
I think the stud here should be Marvin Harrison.
Well, that's okay, good. We'll put him in there. Here's one I did come away impressed with. Mentally tough Utah.
Yeah.
Utah. Don't screw with that team.
Yeah.
Don't play them. If you get a chance at a home and home, say thanks, but no thanks, because they will physically beat the hell out of you.
They don't care who you are.
Don't mess with Utah. Third, Kansas State. What has happened to TCU?
I couldn't believe the score.
God, Kansas State looked like their, sister uniform, the Dallas Cowboys. They just steamrolled.
What? How has TCU fallen this far?
I don't know.
That's incredible.
No, I don't either. I haven't paid attention to what they did last year. I'm just I don't know. They've fallen off the charts, though. It's amazing. They were
It
3-3
is.
going in that game, I think, and now they're 3-4.
Yeah. Sonny Dykes, maybe he should have stayed at SMU. For stud, I went with Central Florida.
Yeah.
This is a hell of an effort.
I like it.
You go to Oklahoma and lose on a 2-point conversion that doesn't work. Good for them.
Good for Malzahn. I think he's always
just got
been,
a contract extension,
yeah,
didn't
he's
he?
always been a good coach, and they've got talent.
And now they're in the Big 12.
Yep, this is
Okay.
a great sort of. It's good for their fans to say, okay, we can hang in the Big 12. At least, I know it's just one game, but Plumlee, I thought, played his butt off in that game too.
Now to the duds. Got to start with Tennessee. Man, when you're up 13 at the half and you lose by 14, that's a 27-0 butt whipping in the second half.
The way they started that second half, I mean, it just didn't look like they were prepared at all for that second half.
Let's go to dud number 2. And let me say that this is my stupidity. I watched a bunch of this game. This is about 2 hours of my life that I will never get back. Temple, number 1, played that game in front of close friends and family.
Oh, the crowd shots were brutal.
They played where the Eagles play at Lincoln Financial. Holds about $70,000. They had about 600 people at that game. It was awful. Temple.
That program has fallen too. They used to be somewhat respectable.
Yeah, under Matt Rule.
Yeah.
What a difference a coach makes. Third one. I hate this one. God, I felt so bad. I kept checking the score Saturday night, hoping that they were going to pull the thing out, and they didn't. Against a Virginia that Tennessee boat raced at the start of the season.
As bad as I feel for Mac Brown, and I really do in that program, credit to Tony Elliott and those guys. I mean, they were down and out. No one, people were forgetting about them. I mean, they had one win, right? They were 1-5, 1-6, I think. So,
right.
For them to go into Chapel Hill and get that done is unbelievable.
And then the last one. Ugh.
Sparty.
That was there. So I haven't seen any pictures. To be honest, I didn't watch the game. I got enough of Temple. I didn't need any more. What do we think the crowd looked like at the end in East Lansing?
Not good.
Friends and family.
Yeah, they borrowed the Temple people.
George, do you actually watch the Temple game?
I watched a little bit of it, yes. I had made the decision not to go to a high school game. I was very tired from such a strenuous work week, Kelly, that I watched some of it. But I think the first sign that need help.
I checked that during the day and said, nope, I'm not watching football tonight.
The first sign that you need help is admitting there's a problem. Okay? I watched some of it.
Wow. Good for you, George. You're a true fan. Good for you, because I am never, ever watching that game. Sorry.
Okay, that's fair enough. I can't really argue it. It's 2 hours of my life.
I'll
never get back.
You sound like George. You sound like Doring on that. You know, he said that on the SEC Network the other night, talking about the Mississippi State game when they played Arkansas.
Yeah,
he was like, "That is 3 hours I will never get back of my life."
If you didn't see the game, here's what it came down to: catch. That thing was over in 2.5 hours.
Did you see Mike Wright started for Mississippi State?
Yes, he sure did.
I thought he played pretty well.
Yeah.
I mean, it was 7-3, but
yeah, they're not calling the Hogs.
No.
Okay, we'll go to the break.
And they fired their offensive coordinator. I don't know if you saw that.
That's called scapegoat.
Is it?
Yeah. Yes, it absolutely is. Plaster bet of the day after the break. Kelly, there were a lot of games over the weekend. We'll find out how we did next.
Okay. All right.
Family owned and operated for more than 2 decades, Alaco Fine Wood Floors is Nashville and Middle Tennessee's choice for premium quality hardwood floors. Since 1995, Jimmy Alaco and his army of employees have embodied the approach of taking pride in one's craft and providing superior customer service, growing from a one-man shop to a team of 23 professionals who share the founder's passion for quality craftsmanship and customer satisfaction. If you are interested in contacting them, you can find their headquarters at 2505 Winford Avenue in Berry Hill, or give them a call at 615-356-0303. Again, that's 615-356-0303, or log on to alacofinewoodfloors.com. Alaco Fine Wood Floors, serving Middle Tennessee's hardwood flooring needs since 1995.
You were in a crash.
Yeah.
Your kids were in a car with you.
We're very lucky to even be telling this story to you. Nikki treated us like family, and she was very caring and loving, and I'm just so grateful for that. She was somebody I could trust, and being a veteran, that's so important to me. My kids are going to have a better life now because I don't have to worry about those expenses that we were out. Your family has really created a legacy of trust, and I would recommend you to anyone.
Over the years, more men have started to seek help for hormone deficiencies and imbalances, and Dr. Jeffrey Lodge and wife Daphne, along with their experienced staff, give men the treatment required to improve their quality of life, improve your immune system, energy level, cognitive function, and more. There's no better time to achieve a healthy lifestyle. What are you waiting for? Give Cool Springs MD a call today for an appointment at 615-486-3458, or visit the website coolspringsmd.com. Star Physical Therapy was established in 1997 with one great mission: to serve. If you're hurting, don't wait to receive physical therapy. You don't need a referral to see their physical therapist, and early morning and evening appointments are available. Make the call to 615-673-1420 and get rid of that pain. Star Physical Therapy, the official health provider of Football Friday.
Convenience and value, two words that we expect when we do business. Our goal at JHA Company is to deliver just that, both to our school partners and to our customers. Whether you're purchasing photos, yearbooks, class jewelry, letter jackets, school spirit wear, or senior graduation products, we strive to make the experience easy, convenient, and cost-effective. Find out more at jhacompany.com or call 615-867-6345 for more information. JHA, one source, one company.
Final segment on a Monday night football tonight. 49ers are in Minnesota to play the Vikings. Got a couple of playoff games tonight in baseball. D-backs and Phillies at 4:07, so here in about a half hour. And then Rangers-Astros tonight at 7 o'clock on Fox, Game 7. All right, let's see what happened over the weekend. It's time for Plaster's Bet of the Day, brought to you by Bart Durham Injury Law. Pretty solid weekend again, Kelly. I don't know what has gotten into George.
He's good, man. He's a bookie. I've told you that. He's a bookie. He's got somebody that is helping him out here.
Absolutely
He's figured it out.
not.
He's giving a gift to the people, is what he says.
Well, first of all, nobody is helping me. Okay. So I will refute that. That is an out-and-out lie.
You can't do that yourself, George.
Absolutely can.
You have sought no advice.
No, well, I mean, you listen to what's being said out there, you take in all the information, and you make your own decision.
Okay.
And you have to make it decisively.
So no getting out at the half, or
well,
I would say that's happened before.
So are the red losses?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we were 4-3. Okay. I can deal with that. See, Kelly wants an 0-7.
He's waiting
Oh,
for that 0
there's
7
no doubt. I mean, I want an over. There's no question. But the way you're hitting right now, I don't know if you'll do it, George.
Well, you are the incentive I need, because I would wish that anybody that gets into a scenario where you have a teammate, that he not be like you.
Well, I'm going to say you're going with the Phillies. That's for sure. You're going with the Phillies tonight or this afternoon. And I don't know if you're willing to delve into the other baseball one. Are you?
I didn't go either baseball.
Oh, we went to Monday Night Football, huh?
Yes. Dun, 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 dun.
Okay.
Show it. Yeah, they're pissed off. They lost in Cleveland. Their focus is high. Minnesota has no Justin Jefferson. Minnesota is all kinds of turmoil. They can do this thing. What is this thing they do, Billy?
Skull.
Well, show
Skull.
us. Show people.
You know what it is.
I just want to embarrass you.
No.
Go ahead and show it.
They did that a little bit when I played there, man, but it's taken on a whole new meaning since I left.
So
they're
how
not
did
doing
that,
much of it anymore.
Kelly, how did that start?
I have no idea, George. I really don't. They've always said that, like skull. I don't. Does that mean Viking, Billy? I don't
Yeah,
know.
it's some Viking chant.
Well, because they
Yeah.
used to, when they would have a good play, you would hear this thing go, "Ooh."
Oh yeah, that was a big old. That's
Yeah.
the big old horn that they had up there. It's amazing, and it's really loud. And it was really loud in their old stadium. It was amazing how loud it was.
And they're not using it as much.
No,
they
it's
haven't
not in
found
operation.
as many reasons to use it. Look, some of you out there, your bookie may put it at 7, and that's a big half point.
It's huge.
But 49ers are really good, and they're hacked off because of the loss to Cleveland. Supposedly they're getting Christian McCaffrey back tonight. That's a big positive for them. I'm just going 49ers. And if it doesn't work, then there'll be a different host tomorrow.
And Jefferson's still out for Minnesota, right? Yeah.
Going to be for a while.
I believe that's going to work, George. I hate to say it, but that will work.
Kelly, tomorrow Tony Basilio will join us. I wonder what that talk show was like after the game.
Be interesting to see what he says.
You think?
Yeah.
He will join us, and then we'll listen in on Mike Vrabel's press conference tomorrow, which might be really revealing because he would appear on the surface to be the last person to give in and say, we're now in a rebuild. But a trade of Kevin Byard, which took place earlier today, and if you're just joining us, what are the details?
Got to refresh. 2 draft picks, 2024, 5th and a 6th rounder, and then Terrell Edmonds coming to the Titans.
For Kevin Byard.
For Kevin Byard.
Okay. Listen, we wish Kevin nothing but the very best. Stand-up, solid human being, great football player,
A Blue
great
Raider.
representative of MTSU. Kevin, go knock 'em dead. Go win you a Super Bowl.
Good luck, brother. Go Blue Raiders.
Kelly, see you tomorrow.
See you, brother.